There are times to stay put, and what you want will come to you. And there are times to go out into the world and find such a thing for yourself. Lemony Snicket. Bending Not Breaking. The Dragon Prince Edition. Reflections. Patience. Welcome back to another mini episode of Bending Not Breaking. This is your host, Ben Pruitt, and don't worry, we have Devon and Kris back for this mini episode because we're talking about patience. Patience is the first reflection that was released, and the main character, Erebos, it seems, and there's a lot going on here. So I'm just going to bring us in. Since the title is Patience, I want to start us off by asking both of you, what does patience mean to you? And then we'll go from there and learn more about this piece. But I'm curious, what does patience mean to you?
Well, currently I have a dog on my lap wiggling around and crying because she really can't stand that my husband's outside and she's not there. So patience right now in this very moment, I'm going to give like the silly answer because I can, is accepting that everything grows and changes on its own timetable, and this dog will eventually get used to the circumstances of its of her lovely life here. We've only had her for a week, and I must be patient with her and her. Oh my God, she's climbing on me. This is going to be the worst episode. I'm so sorry.
No, it's cute.
I must be patient with this animal as she learns to be comfortable in her new life and her new surroundings. I love you, Amber. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, Kris, what about you? Like, when you think of patience, like, what does patience mean to you?
Well, patience is something that I thought I'd figured out, but the last couple of years were pretty hard and taught me a new level to that patience. It's not the sort of lesson that anybody really wants to learn, but when you manage to come out the far side of something really heavy that you couldn't really make stop on your own, you learn a certain sort of patience of endurance. It's more
Yeah.
I will just endure this because that's maybe the last card in my hand. And it's my turn, so I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think about patience as a word, because in a way, like, patience is a virtue, which is really problematic for me because patience is this concept of like your capacity to endure or accept trouble or delay or suffering, even, right? Or sacrifice without getting angry or upset. You're just like, I'm just gonna let myself get hurt right now, or I'm gonna let myself endure this problem. Like, and it's okay. And it's like this dog in the room with everything on fire that's smiling, and it's like, oh, this dog is almost too patient, right? And patience is really complicated for me, thinking about like, what is patience really what we want to be teaching children, right? Like, because there is a certain level of patience that's really helpful because it helps us navigate and live in our world. But at the same time, there's a certain level of patience where I don't want you to be that patient. I want you to rise up and resist. And so I'm thinking about that from that perspective. And sometimes you're locked in a mirror and you can't do anything about it. And so you have to learn how to be patient, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you sane, which is potentially an interesting question to offer us now of why patience for Erebos's theme and for Erebos's short story.
Oh goodness. I think fans would tell you it's because we made them wait 3 years or whatever, and we were being cheeky, which I totally didn't intend. It's actually just well, first of all, just backtracking a little, I really think it's interesting what you said about like, is patience a universal good, or is it something a little bit more insidious? Because I do think there is, virtuous in quotes patience. Like, yeah. I think like there is like me and my horrible little dog that's sitting on my shoulder. I think it is correct of me to be patient with her as she, a small young animal learns what is safe and what is normal in her new life and routine. And I think like I feel good in my capacity to be patient with her, I think it's the right choice. But in Erebos's case, he is being patient for reasons that are perhaps not that. This is also very difficult because again, this piece was written not just for season 4. This is one that's sort of like meant to be like, welcome back to, you know, the Dragon Prince saga, Mystery of Erebos, etc. So there's a more threatening level to Erebos's patience. Like, how long has he waited in order to be able to enact whatever it is he wants to enact? And, you know, like he phrases it as a lot of personal suffering and a lot of you know, patiently counting the days and the things until these things can come to fruition. But like, what are they, and are they a thing that he deserves? He thinks so, but it's certainly, he is not wishing. He's not wishing for the comfort and safety of small dogs. I guess I will say that.
Yeah.
He is patiently waiting for something that is harmful to others. Without saying too much, that's I think you sort of hit on something. Like, he is framing it as like, I deserve the fruits of my patience.
Yeah.
And yet, what is the cost to others of what I am waiting for?
Yeah.
Hope that's not too spoilery in its vagueness, you know.
Yeah. I'm just really intrigued because Devon, I think that you took point on this story in particular. And we learned that in our last episode, but I want to read part of what you wrote. Can I read what you wrote?
Yeah. I hope it sounds cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this, and we're gonna do a little activity. This is like our for this little mini episode, and that'll be the end of the episode. But this is what you wrote, and this is Erebos speaking. I know the patience of countless candles burned down to waxy puddles. I know the patience of apple seeds plucked from the flesh of their fruit, planted and nursed until the strongest of them birth new life from rich soil. I know the patience of a woven tapestry, how the weaver plates the purpose of every thread, even as they disappear into the beauty of its design. And I don't know, I just hear that and I'm like, dang, not only is this guy got time to think about what he's patient about, but like this guy is very poetic in what he's conceiving and how he perceives the world. And I'm just really curious if we were to be poetic about what we have to be patient about. I'm curious what you would write. And so this is what Erebos wrote, but I'm curious for you in your life, what do you know the patience of? Erebos knows the patience of countless candles and all these other things, but what do you know the patience of? For me, an example is like, I know the patience, I was a music major in my undergrad. I know the patience of countless hours spent in a practice room singing this one measure line, all for just a moment on stage. The payoff, like all that work for just this like short moment on stage. And so I know the patience of that. So I'm curious, what's a thing in your life that you know the patience of?
I'll go first because Kris's answer is deeper than mine. And mine's similar, Ben. I think the thing that I would say is I know the patience of creation. And I'm not going to be as poetic as I wrote Erebos here because that writing cool sentences takes a long time and I'm not as verbally good at words. But creation is something that takes a whole lot of time and a whole lot of work. And so I know the patience of having written a script and having a certain vision for what it means and how it should manifest. But it's something that's so organic and so many hands will touch it and so many hands will change it and bring their own vision to it that ultimately very rarely does it end up exactly in the shape that I initially conceived of it. And there's a certain amount of patience to knowing that it will get somewhere strong and somewhere worthwhile, even during the process of sort of like it changing and becoming a little bit different than it was when I put it on a page. And again, like there's something similar to what you said too. There's a patience of, you know, an episode takes literally over a year to create on an individual level. They all overlap in production and whatnot, but they take so long to make. And I see every single one of them from the stage of a script to drawings to, grayscale lobby boxes moving around to final product. And people watch them in 22 minutes and then they are done. And it takes, and the patience for that payoff of people seeing the thing that is created, it's a lot. It's like working on things like this. It really does require quite a bit of patience and quite a bit of diligence of maintaining a vision that you will get somewhere cool at the very end of the process.
And that's so helpful for, I think, for fans to know is how long an episode takes. Like in my head, I never would have said a full year. Like what? Like that's wow, that's such a long
start to
time.
finish, from writing, from even like breaking an episode to writing it to what's called, I think, color grading is probably the last stage of an episode. A very long time. She's fine.
No worries.
She's not being patient right now is the problem.
Learned that virtue yet, so to speak. Kris, what about you? What patience do you know?
Okay, well, now my answer feels all like emo.
Listen, I'm here for all kinds of the feelings, so give it
all right.
to us. Or
okay, all right.
I'm
gonna lean into it then. I basically took Erebos's what you read as a template, and I just changed it into that rhythm, but with my own meaning. So here's what I have. I know the patience of breathlessness. I know the patience of waiting in the dark, eyes wide and straining, realizing that the light might never return. I know the patience of pain, the dark burn in my lungs, and in the shadows beyond, the ever-present possibility that I have already drawn my last breath. I know the patience of death.
Ooh. Wow. Well, if you don't know Kris better by hearing that, then good luck. That's like you just got to the deep dark depths of Kris right there. So wow, thank you for sharing what that's like.
Yeah, it's that happened.
Yeah, you did it. No, it's incredible. And fans, if you're listening, we invite you to tweet at us. What do you know the patience of? We would love to hear about that. You can add us BNB_pod. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. That would be super cool to hear. Before we kind of tie up this episode, is there anything about this reflection that we want to make sure we touch on before we transition into something we're grateful for today?
Apples. I really like sneaking the detail of the apple in there. If you go back far enough, I also oh my God, I'm so sorry. My husband's, yeah. So a while back for Erebos's birthday, I wrote a piece where he talks about an apple, and I really enjoyed bringing the callback to that in this one. So apples, you'll see.
No, I love that. I love that. Anything for you, Kris, before we transition to gratitude?
I just liked that we got something from Erebos's perspective at all, because I didn't know what Devon was writing. She's like, I'm going to take this one because it's got so much stuff in it. I'm just going to do it. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm looking forward to it. And then it came out and I was just like, oh, because Erebos has been, perennially stuck behind that mirror. We don't know what he's thinking. We only know what he chooses to show us, I guess. And so this little peek on the other side of the mirror was fun for me, just as a fan of the show and of Erebos. It was really neat just to get inside the mirror for half a second there. That was great.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, we're going to tie up this mini episode by sharing something we're grateful for. And I'm going to invite us into this lens for gratitude today. What is something that you are grateful for in the realm of either patience, in the realm of this reflection specifically, or Erebos specific? Is there anything that you are grateful for in the umbrella of those three things?
I'm going to talk about my dog again because she's dominating my entire life right now. I'm really patient. I'm really grateful for her patience with me and my husband as we learn to integrate her into our life. And I think this is, again, the wholesome, I hope, version of patience, where two beings, three beings, four beings, if you count our other dog, patiently learning to accept each other as an integral part of our livelihood and a continued existence. And I'm so sorry that you had to listen to her cry and cry the whole time, but I promise she's okay. She's just new.
No, it's okay. Kris, what about you?
It's just a little thing, but I think about it kind of every day, is back to that endurance thing. I know Erebos is having a rough time. The mirror's not great, but he is still there. And I know I have gratitude for still being here to enjoy the things that are around me. You know, Erebos has got candles, apples, whatever his day contains, but he's there to have those things, and those things are, he can perceive them, they're real. He's still there. He hasn't faded from the world. Well, anyway, and I'm grateful that I'm still here, and I get to, not to be melodramatic, it just, every day means more now than it did a few years ago. And it's full of small things that bring me joy because I want them to. Yeah. And I think that is possibly the brightest star in my sky. Is that I can choose to be grateful. It's a choice.
Wow. Oh, I am grateful for, I'm going to be meta fan for a second, in the sense that I'm really honestly grateful for the time we've had between seasons 3 and 4, because I'm not sure that we would have gotten this level of anticipation for season 4 if it had just come out the following year. And there's a certain level of connective and collective joy that emerges from a whole group of people all kind of coalescing around one thing. And I think that has been something that's really beautiful about the time spent between seasons. And so I'm actually really grateful for that. Well, both of you, thank you for this next episode and the next several. We're gonna say that's it for our mini episode today. Thank you all, and thank our listeners for joining another episode of Bending Not Breaking, and we will see you next time.